science. Okay, so first tell me from which device have you logged in? Have you logged in through your mobile, or you have logged in through your laptop? Have you logged in through your mobile or laptop? Mobile, okay. So today you can it's okay. You can log in through your mobile, but uh, I'll prefer because this is a practical oriented course, and mostly we will work on R. So I will prefer that you also do the whatever tasks I'm doing. You should also do it with me because that will give you a hands-on experience in R. Okay, apart from the practicals, so will do it. Apart from that, also, like we have the installation of R and the introduction to ID and all that stuff. So that I will prefer that you log in through, because otherwise if you are logging in through their mobile, it is not possible to understand that. So let's start with the introduction. What is data science? And we are coming these 2 days, like today and tomorrow, we are going to do the unit 1 topics. It's not that we can complete it, but then we'll try to do the theory part at least. So we have what is the data science, basically why this field is so much important, and what is the reason that it has become so much popular, and what are the things which you need to realize if you want to become a data scientist or a data engineer, which are the most sought after kind of roles in the industry now, right now. So data science is a discipline which has come to which has become so important right now because of the importance of data. Now you know that previously we used to have data. We did not have so much social media networks and internet, and we used to have data in kind of unstructured way. Like for example, we used to get it in newspapers, we used to read books, we used to listen to audios, and radio. Remember, radio was so popular. So all these kinds of data we used to use. So these kind of data are are a little okay. They are difficult to manage and to manipulate, as well as to explore. So right now what has happened is the most of the data we are is on the web. They are digitized data. So why it is digitized? Because there are so many social media networks where people are uploading huge amount of data on the web every day. Like we are uploading our videos, in Facebook. We are uploading images, we are uploading photographs. So companies are allowing or giving a large amount of storage space so that people can use that data. What has happened is, you have seen that Facebook is free. Okay, most of the social media networks, Instagram, they are all free of cost. Yes. All right, fine. Okay, it's fine. Today it's fine. No, just a theory lecture. But in case we are doing like EDA and data exploration and all that stuff, so we are going to do it in R. So I'll prefer you to log into the laptop. So that's what I was saying. So these you have seen, they are free, but these companies need to earn. Okay, so they are giving, the storage space has become, the cloud space has become quite not that expensive anymore. So they can provide it cheap and to the users, but they are these data which they have to add some value. You are uploading so much data. What is the value? You cannot, the companies just cannot let you use it like that. Okay, so what they are doing, they are using this data for generating something, some kind of knowledge. So this data science discipline has come into the picture because of this, that so much data has been digitized data is available to the users, and we can actually use it. So this is the need, this is the, and we are using, there are multiple disciplines like mathematics, statistics, which are combined with this discipline of data science, to utilize data and derive knowledge from it. Okay, so let's. So this is your unit 1, in which introduction to data science is there. Then what is data? Different kinds of data which we have on the web as well as in the real life, which we are coming across every day. Then we have the high level programming language, that is we are doing R and the R introduction, integrated development environment. Then we learn exploratory data analysis, EDA. Then visualization, how to make reports from the data, how to visualize this data and present in a way that users can understand, so that it has some value. Just like if you see lots of data on the web, it doesn't make any sense unless and until you may present that in, to form a to give any valuable information. Next is, what are the different types of data sources which we have? Like we can have relational as well as non-relational databases now. Relational databases, traditional relational databases like SQL, MySQL, those are there. Apart from non-relational databases, we have, like for example, Amazon is using databases like Amazon DB. Then we have CouchDB. Then you might have heard about MongoDB. So these are the different databases which are used nowadays, apart from the traditional databases like MySQL. Like it is not that the traditional databases are completely phased out, because they are still very reliable while doing transactions. So for example, while doing transactions in Facebook, like you want to buy an ad, or you want to sell something on the Facebook, do some e-commerce activity, but still for that MySQL database is used. But for doing tasks like uploading data on the web, downloading data from the web, all these tasks are used using non-relational databases. Then these data which we are using, like for example, we are talking about that various what are the different kinds of activities which are used in data science. Like for example, we talk about recommendations. Like you are buying something on the web, and suppose you buy a camera on the web, then the system recommends you that you can buy a camera stand also with that, tripod also. The system also recommends you can buy a camera bag with that. So these kind of recommendations, you might have seen that. Then comparisons, like for example, you have seen the websites like Trivago, which compares different kinds of data from different hotels, and tells you that which hotel is offering you the cheapest price. So all these kinds of comparisons, this can be done using data science, apart from many other tasks. So we are going to see the applications over here today. So what is data science? It's an interdisciplinary field. It's not that it's a pure computer science field. Now, when you talk about data science, and the people who are working on it are coming from different industries. It is like they belong, and nowadays biotechnology field, yes, it is very important. Even in any kind of research, like for example, like this pandemic, we were making of a vaccine and all this kind of thing, they require a lot of research, and data science has helped a lot in that. uh, even in genetics, also it is very much used. Apart from that, in the telecom industry, for example, I will need to find out the churn. That is, for example, I am a Airtel customer, and I call Airtel customer, and I'm not happy with Airtel. Now I want to go to uh, the other service provider like Orange, so, or Vodafone. So what I do, so basically I make calls, and I make calls to Airtel that I'm not satisfied. I did not say directly that I want to churn out. but from the calls it can be predicted that you are actually going to change the service provider. So that can be predicted using the machine learning algorithms, that from the history, from the way that you are making the calls. So like this, the system can predict and who are the people who are likely to churn out this month and go to the other service provider. So you'll see that whenever you try to change the service provider, Airtel only gives you a call saying that we have this many, we have a new plan for you, and we are offering you this benefits, so all these kind of things. So that is because they come to know beforehand, before you churn out, that yes, that this person has a chance, probability to go to another service provider. Have you come across this kind of calls where, for example, you wanted to change something, or you wanted to go to another, change your service provider, telephone service provider, or you want to buy some, thinking about buying something, and the company calls? Have you come across this kind of event before? Yes. Can you tell me any other, yes, policy words are very good. So if, can you tell me any other kind of data science applications or machine learning application which you have come across in your daily life? Yes. Yeah, you can speak. YouTube video recommendation. Okay, very good. Yes, and the ad comes. Yes, right, right. Absolutely. Netflix, very good. Okay, right. So these paid ads. Okay. See, whatever you are searching on the web, like if, for example, I have searched something on the web. If I have a website where ads are displayed, different other companies, whatever I'm searching on the web, if I open my website, no, that ads will be shown in my website. Okay. Yes. Job recommend. So these are the examples of recommendations. Yes. Right. Okay. Apart from that, various other applications are also there. Like, for example, you might have gone to the shopping malls, okay, like Hypercity and all that, and we have forgotten going to the mall for a long time, but then yes, you remember, recollect the memories. So you see that there are different ways in which the products are being showcased. Uh, you think that that is random, we think that is random, that is, or you go to DMart, you see the products are being showcased in certain order, we feel that it is random, but it is actually not random. It is done according to a way in which the products are bought at a uh, faster rate. Like, for example, if you know that we know that breads are bought with eggs, okay, or breads, when you, if you buy bread, you will buy milk. This kind of association can be found with the help of machine learning algorithms. So in, if such kind of association is there, commonly people buy milk with bread. Okay. So what is done is, bread is kept in one aisle and milk is kept far from that aisle, so that the person, the customer, picks up bread and he takes a round to the whole shopping center and buys more things and go to buy the milk. So that is how the products are arranged. And also you might have seen in the, near the counter, there are so many products which are kept, like Cadbury's chocolates and some kind of mouth fresheners. So they are the, these products are not kept ad hoc, they are the most frequently bought items. Yes, they are the most frequently bought items which are kept near the counter. So here, it's an interdisciplinary field that uses scientific method, processes, algorithms, and systems to extract knowledge and insights from noisy, structured, and unstructured data. Now, data which we are getting, it is not from a structured database right now. It is not, we are not getting a database to query. Now if I need the records from like I need to research that which mobile phone is doing the best in the market, which mobile phone is so I will not get the data. I have data, I have different kinds of websites like Amazon selling mobile phones, eBay selling mobile phones. We have now Flipkart selling mobile phones. I cannot go to the companies and tell them, you give your database to me. They will not give it to me for research. So what I need to do, so how do I get the data for research? How do I get the data for analysis? If I want to find out which mobile phone is doing the best in the market, which mobile phone is liked by the users, which feature is most popular in the market, this kind of research if I want to do. So what I do is I create a kind of a software or a bot which will travel through the web and different websites and scrape the data from the web, download it, and process, and then copy it in an Excel file or in a in a structured database format. So I will not get it directly. So data which I am getting from the web is not a clean data. It's a noisy data. Noisy data means lot of garbage values are there. It's not, and even if you think that whenever how the data is being filled over there, like if I think that I want to gather the students admission data, which are the how many students are taking admission in the data science field, or like that. So the data which we are getting from the web, if I many people are not if it is collected from the web, like through the help of forms, online forms, many people will not fill the forms properly. It's not they don't if you give so much validation in the forms, people will not fill the forms. So they give minimum fields to fill. The other fields the people keep as blank. So we have a lot of null values over there. So that also need to be, so the data which we are getting are noisy. Okay, so they have a lot of different kinds of garbage values. And we have structured as well as unstructured data. What is structured data? The data which is coming from the database, like the SQL database or Oracle database, or you can see even Excel. Excel is a structured data. Then we have to, whatever data is there, we have to get some knowledge out of the data. That data is not for like just we just filter, like if you have a data in Excel, you can just what we do is we just filter data. Like I have a student's mark sheet, so I filter now which students are getting more than 80%. So that is just applying filtering. So that is not data science. Okay, so that is query. Data science will gather some knowledge which is not visible there. So we will discover some knowledge which is not visible via filtering and all that stuff. Okay. So what is a data science scientist profile? Like he has to have the knowledge of a data. So suppose there are different kinds of profile in the data science. One of the most common profile where the students or the freshers directly get employed is a data engineer. So data engineer profile is basically related to collect data via web scraping. So you need to have a knowledge of web scraping, like Python API or R API to crawl the data from the web. Then we have, after crawling the data, how to clean the data, how to process the data. There are various softwares for doing that. After that, applying the algorithm and doing machine learning, training the machine, and do the task which we do, like recommendations, associations, and all these tasks. Then we have this, for doing the algorithms, we have mathematics and statistics knowledge is required. Sometimes we need calculus, sometimes we need statistics. Mostly we need statistics. Then we have computer science too, because we need to code. and then the task does not end. After you do that, you have to continuously communicate with the client, because for example you have data which is consist of some kind of noisy values, and you want to remove it. So you have to talk to the client whether he is okay in removing it. Okay, because without his permission you cannot direct delete the rows. So if he is not okay, then you have to do something else. Okay, so to remove, like to replace the null values. So all these things you have to, and what kind of accuracy he wants, what kind of data it is, and then the domain expertise. This is very, very important, because data science is not related to only computer science. So you have the problems coming from different kind of fields, like for example medical field, then we have telecom field, we may have education field, some fields which you may not have entirely, you don't have any knowledge about, engineering field, civil engineering field. So you, before starting with the problem, you have to understand the field. So it's better that you understand and you do a research and talk to the client, and after you make the model also, when you are implementing also, you have to continuously communicate with the client. So domain expertise and communication. For example, you have to make a kind of you have to find out that a particular kind of tumor is cancerous or not, and you have the data, medical science data, and the data which is available, you will not be able to understand the data unless and until you go deep into it and acquire knowledge about it. Then only you will understand which feature to use, what is the importance of this feature, and so on. Do you have any questions? Anyone has come from a different field, interdisciplinary? Are you all from computer science, or which field are you in? So in banking domain is also one very important domain in which this is used. Data science is being used. Are you all working, freshers? Can you tell me? Anyone who is working here? Fresher, okay. Okay. Which platform you're working, Srinath? Okay, very good. VB, okay, fine. And Shreyash, which platform? Okay, .NET Core, fine. Great. Right. Website scraping that's interesting. Okay, good. Everyone has replied? Okay, fine. So we have, these are the facts which are about data science in 2021. Text data comprise 91% of the data used in data science. Now you can see that text data means data which does not have any structure. It is not even divided into columns. That data is the most available data. Why it is most commonly, why it is most available data? Because that is easy to use. If you open the web and you want to extract, you want to get the details about the mobile phone, you just go to the websites and just copy paste in a text file. That is the easiest data which we can get. If you want more, like for example, you go to Amazon and you can just copy paste the data, but that data, how to convert it into a structured form is difficult. That is a process. Okay, And 41% of the data in the data science pipeline comes from public data, because most of the times we are not in a position to ask for authorities, ask to the authorities that for the data. uh, all are working like they, instead of go to the authorities and ask for data, it takes time. It instead of that, if you are able to access the data directly from the web and scrape it from the web, that is easier for us. It saves time, it saves money. Okay. In case you want some government data, yes, definitely there is a process available for that. Then 33% of the data is images, 15% is video, and 11% is audio. Even the data which is there in the YouTube, you have seen that huge amount of data is available in the YouTube. And if you want to do analysis, you need to, if you know how to extract knowledge from the video data, from the, at least even from the metadata, like the videos have some description, from that also if you can extract, you will get some good research and good visualization and good research problem. 11% is audio. Then Open Graph API from Facebook aggregates 1 billion content pieces per day. Open Graph API is a application program interface from Facebook. From If you open that, you will get the data. If you have authority to access the data, you will get the data which you have posted in your Facebook profile. Okay, so it generates around 1 billion content pieces per day. Even tweeting, the data from Twitter is also available for research. If the data is of poor quality, it is a problem for the company, because that data cannot be used for data science problems. See, data science problems, the main input is the data. So it works on GIGO principle: garbage in, garbage out. So if your data is noisy, if your data is not of value, if your data is of poor quality, you have a lot of null values in that, missing values in that. Like for example, I'm taking the data from a school, from a BMC school, that about what is the background of the students and what is the pass percentage, and I don't have data like the what is the gender, what is the, most of the data is fudged, or most of the data is missing. The people are, their parents are not ready to give. So in that case, the analysis results which we'll get is not good. Similarly, for you have seen that we have even for COVID research, many of the data is not the real data. Okay, the actual data of how many people are sick, how many people are vaccinated, all these data are not available properly. So if it is not available and if it is wrong, your results will also be wrong. So let's sorry, what is data? Okay, so let's come to what is data. So data is a collection of raw facts. So data, actually it is not a structure, it is just a collection of facts. After processing that data, you can call that an information. We have, these are the different types of data which we have. First is categorical or qualitative data, and then we have numerical or quantitative data. So major category, this is very, very important when you are when you will be working with files. You need to understand which variable is categorical. Categorical means it is generally a text variable, that it denotes some quality. Okay, and numerical, which denotes a number. So in categorical data, we have different types of data, like nominal data, ordinal data. And in numerical data, we can have discrete data and continuous data. So here we'll see, and apart from that, we also have an interval and ratio data. So it is called NOIR. Okay, nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio data. And numerical data, what is continuous data? The data, like you can talk about the marks of students. So they are kind of continuous data. If you want to make it discrete, that is the marks will be like 80 to 100 will be one batch, then 70 to less than 80 will be another batch, then 60 to less than 70 will be like this. If you want to make it bins, then it will be discretized. Apart from that, property price of buildings, they are continuous data. So we are talking about qualitative or categorical data which have no logical order and can be transformed and can't be translated into numerical value. Okay, so for example, eye color brown and blue. So we cannot say that brown is higher or lower than blue. We cannot denote any numbers over there. Quantitative data, it is information about quantities, that is information that can be measured, written down with numbers. Not all numerical data is quantitative. For example, your security code on your credit card, even your credit card number, it is not exactly a numerical data because you cannot perform any kind of arithmetic operations on that. Okay, then we have, as I told you, we have 4 types of data, NOIR it is called, and N for nominal data. So nominal data, it is actually denotes a label. Okay, so like for example, name and count, and yeah, they are called labels. So like for example, we have, this is a nationality, British, American, Spanish. Okay, so it does not have any kind of rank or order. It is not that British is greater than American or greater than Spanish. If I want to code them using numbers, those numbers are not related. Those numbers are not in a particular rank. Similarly, genre, if I, for music, if I take, we have rock, hip hop, jazz, classical, and all that. Then hair color, red, brown, blonde. Favorite animal, okay. Koala, sloth, aardvark. Then pizza topping, we have olives, anchovies, and all that stuff. Okay, so these are all labels or qualities, and they are termed as nominal data. Okay, a subtype of nominal scale with only 2 categories. Like we have, for example, we talk about male, female, true, false. They are called dichotomous. Okay, dichotomous means di means 2. Any questions here? Okay, I'll ask you questions after I finish explaining this. Okay, types of operations or nominal data, what kind of operations we can perform. So we can perform mode in statistics. What is mode? We want to find out the most frequently occurring items. Like for example, we have we have a set of people or who are like customers, and we have the nationality of the customers in a column, and the nationalities are among these 3: British, American, and Spanish. Naturally, if the categories are these 3, they will be getting repeated. If I want to find the mode, that is the most frequently occurring nationality of the customer, so I can try to find out using like I can make a frequency table and find out that which nationality is occurring mostly in among my customers. So that is kind of mode. They can be visualized using line chart, pie chart, etc. Next, we have ordinal data. So ordinal data is something which can be ranked. Like we can make a order. Like we can sort it in a order. So like for example, first, second, and third. So they are not. It is not. It's not that they have to be numerical. They can be qualitative data as well. They can be categorical data as well, but they can be ranked according to the order. Like for example, t-shirt size: medium, large, extra large, and double XL. Okay, so though they are categorical variables, they are not numeric, but still they are ordinal data. They can be ranked according to the order. Or like education: undergraduate, graduate, postgraduate, and doctorate. So if you talk about the qualification, doctorate is the maximum qualification attained. So here doctorate is the maximum qualification. What is the minimum qualification attained? Undergraduate is the minimum. So we can perform operations like minimum, maximum, greater than, less than with this kind of data. If you have any questions, please ask, okay? So relational operators can be used with ordinal data. Summary measures like mode, median can be used with ordinal data. And calculations based on order are permitted, like mean, max, count, etc. Just give me a second. It's getting recorded. Next, we talk about, can you give me some other examples of ordinal data? I gave you two examples about a t-shirt size as well as the education. Can you tell me any other examples of ordinal data? Any examples of ordinal data which can be ranked, data which is categorical but which can be ranked? Good, bad, okay. Good, bad, fine, yeah, okay. Managerial, the post like executive, senior executive, manager, okay. Okay, temperature, for example, you can consider if it is like this, I'm not considering the temperature as numbers, like high, medium, low, or hot, moderate, cool. In that case also, this is a kind of ordinal data. Yeah, that is numerical. Yes, that is also ordinal. Fine. Right. Even grades A, B, C, and all that. Like the grades you get in the exams. So relational operators can be used. I just told you this. Next, we are coming to interval scales. Okay, so interval scales are generally numeric data. Okay, they are numeric data, and they are not necessarily positive. It may be positive as well as negative, and they may include a zero value also. But here, the zero does not have a very important value, because here, for example, consider 0 degree Celsius. That does not mean the absence of temperature. That doesn't mean absence of heat or absence of cold, presence of cold. It does not mean anything. So here, zero does not have a specific kind of very much importance over here. So we have, after the interval scale, we have a ratio variable in which zero plays a very important role. They cannot be negative. Okay. So here, interval data is measured on numerical scale with positive, negative, and zero values. Another thing is that the variables, the values of a interval scale, they generally have a difference. Like, for example, we talk about temperature in Celsius as well as Fahrenheit. You can see the scale that it has a individual values have a difference between them. Next, we talk about a metric scales, which you know that we have a meter, centimeter, millimeter, and all. They have a particular, even the storage metrics, like you have bit, bytes, then kilobyte, then megabyte, then gigabyte, and all that. So that is a kind of interval values. Next, we have ratio data. These are numeric data with the help of which you can perform all kind of calculations. Like you can do division, addition, subtraction, and all that. All calculations are permitted over there. They start from zero, and they do not have negative values. Like, for example, price of an item. Generally, price of an item is not negative. Similarly, age of a person. Okay, so they are not negative. So what is the difference between ratio and interval data? The ratio and difference between interval and ratio scales comes from their ability to dip below zero. So interval scales hold no true zero. So, like, for example, another thing is that when it is not interval scales are not proportionate. Like, for example, if I am if I am telling that in a room I have a temperature of 16 degree, and outside room I have a temperature of 32 degree. It is not necessarily, I cannot say that the outside my room is 2 times hotter than the inside of the room. It does not represent heat. Okay, it's a temp. I can say it is 16 degree more than my room. Okay, so that is how it is. But in ratio scale, if you say a person is 25 years of age, another person is 50 years, and we can say that person is twice as age of this person. Okay, so we have examples like height and weight measure from 0 and above, never fall below it. Okay, so tell me here which one is now which are the which is nominal, which is ordinal, and which column is ordinal, which column is nominal, which column is ratio, and which column is interval. Yes. Which column is nominal here? Nominal variables. Nominal data. Which column has nominal data? Name and gender. Very good. Okay. Which column has ordinal data? Rank. Very good. Do we have interval data over here? Interval data. Then we have height and weight. They are both interval data or ratio data. Ratio. Ratio. Yeah. See, they are none of them can go to negative. Okay, so they are all ratio data. Okay, have you understood this part, everyone? Yes, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm coming to a different perspective of data now. Now this is the way in which mathematically we understand that what is data. Now we are coming to a different perspective. So we have other data can be also be divided into these categories. One is static data, dynamic data, spatial, temporal, text, and media. Do you know what is static and dynamic? Anyone has any idea? If anyone knows, can unmute and say. Okay. So a static data is something which does, yes, you want to say? Please.
Ma'am, dynamic data is which changes over time.
Okay.
That is
Can
the
you give an example?
dynamic, like temperature. It gets changes every day, even every
Okay.
hour. We can say that.
Like weather report. Yeah.
Yes, that
Okay.
is the dynamic data, and static is that is constant. Like if we say the latitude and longitude of any country or any place,
Hmm.
that is static.
Okay.
So that data is a static.
Right. Okay. Anyone knows about spatial and temporal data?
Spatial, ma'am, spatial data is the geographical location data kind of data,
Hmm.
like
Okay.
longitude, latitude. These kind of data are the spatial data.
All right. Yes. And
And
temporal?
temporal, no, ma'am, I don't have any idea about
Okay. Okay. What's your name?
it. Suman Singh, ma'am.
Okay. Fine. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Temporal data? Okay, so we come to static data. So static data is something what he said is correct, which does not change. Like examples of static data can be, for example, if you think about your astrological traits, like according to your date of birth, so that won't change. If you're according to your date of birth, if your sunshine is something like Taurus or Virgo and they have a particular trait, so that won't change. So that is a kind of static data. So if you go to astrological websites and they have some for each and every year, so every day your horoscope will change, so that is dynamic. But the traits of the different sun signs and moon signs, they will remain the same, which is a static data. Then in a website, some data are static, some data are dynamic. The dynamic are the like everyday news, the weather reports, they are changing every day, so they are dynamic. So it is a data that does not change. It is not a real-time data. It is self-contained or controlled, and you may require some cleansing, preparation, pre-processing before you can use static data. So like as I told you, the astrological traits won't change. So generally the websites have these other static pages which do not change, which they do not have to change because they will remain the same over the time. And some of the okay, and the some of the data which changes, like which are taken through the forms, they are the and they are displayed. Like for example, you have filled up a form about your personal profile and that is displayed on the website, so that is not likely to change. So that also becomes like a static data. Your person, unless and until your bank information, for example, you log in to your bank and if you use your bank account and all that information, your custody, that won't be changing. So that is also a static data. Next, we talk about the dynamic data, which changes every day. Like for example, stock market, every day it changes, and it changes. The live data changes every day, and it's in real time data. Banking transactions, that will change. The news websites, they have the data which is continuously changing because of the latest news being updated. Then we have the spatial data. Okay, so what is spatial data? We have you have seen Google Maps. So if you see Google Maps, the data which is there in the Google Maps, and it is a spatial data. Your traffic data, traffic information, whether this route is has huge heavy traffic or this route is free. This kind of information is also a spatial data, which you check in Google Maps. Your weather and climate data, which may be displayed on the television news, that this place is likely to have a heavy rain and this place is likely to be cloudy. So this kind of data is also spatial data. Apart from that, if you see the Google Maps, there will be areas which are marked as green for the forest. There are areas which are marked as blue for the streams. This kind of data is a spatial data. And another example is a medical imaging. When you take the data, when you take the X-ray report of like, MRI report or X-ray report of a brain or your chest X-ray, for example, that is also a spatial data. That is also a spatial data, and we detect the kind of anomaly in a particular location. Or you take a USG, for example. Okay, that is also an example of spatial data. So you can see this is a Google map, and this is a Mumbai University map, and this is a perfect example of a spatial data. If you have to extract the spatial data, you can extract, but this data has to be, it is not a structured data. You have to extract it and put it in a structured form. It's a three-dimensional data. Okay, so in kind of so from this data, what kind of queries come? Like for example, non-spatial queries are like this: list the names of customers who stay in Kandivali. So this kind of, if the data is in Excel and you write the list the names of the customer, you can just do a filter on the location. If location is Kandivali, what are the names of the customer? Spatial queries: list the names of the customers who stay within 20 kilometers from Kandivali. Here it is, this answer is not specific to a particular query. This is not a non-spatial query. 20 kilometers from Kandivali is a, you have to understand that 20 kilometers from Kandivali, then you have to draw a diagram to enclose the location or a graph, and after that you have to measure it. So it's not a non-spatial query. So it is a spatial query. Okay. So like even the map of the country, normal maps, they represent spatial data. Okay. So you can see spatial database with a state with a red line and water bodies in blue polygons and forest bodies in green polygons. If this is the way our data is represented, then you can store it in a table like this: name, area, population, and boundary. And what shapes they represent. So name, area, and population, they are normal varying data. String, that is text. This is a number, this is also a number, but boundary of the state, this is a spatial data. So it's not that a spatial data consists of only spatial data. It may consist of, it may be combined with non-spatial data to form a particular information. Okay. So now what is the applications of spatial data? Like for example, you want to find out that you have taken photographs of your enemy troop, okay, from the helicopter. You have taken photographs yesterday and you have taken the photographs today, and you want to find out what is the movement. What is the movement? Whether they are going back, where they are coming, or they are stagnant or sitting in one place. So that kind of you cannot understand with the help of naked eye. So that kind of information can be extracted from the spatial query. Next, if you want to find out the insurance person, if you are taking a home insurance, for example, the insurance manager would like to evaluate, do you have your house, how much location your house is away from the river, so that it is whether it will be likely to get flooded next year, your house will be affected or not, because depending on that he will give you the insurance. Then medical doctor based on the patient's MRI, if he takes a subsequent MRI of the tumor, he wants to know that the size of the tumor has changed or not. Similarly, molecular biologist, like forensic, and there are so many criminal cases where the forensic has been DNA has been examined, and we want to match the DNA. Okay, so we want to find out that this DNA, if it is incomplete DNA, whether it belongs to someone or not, some kind of that kind of matching. So here DNA sequence is matching with the criminal in the database, traffic data. So all these are examples of spatial data. Next, we talk about the temporal data. Temporal data means a data which is related to time. So temporal data has a particular field apart from the regular integer, numeric integer, and character values. It has a particular column called time. It will have a particular column of time called column time, which will have an influence on the data. Okay, like for example, you can talk about the what it is called, the cameras which are there on your apartment.
CCTV.
Yeah, CCTV. I'm sorry, I forgot the term. Right, CCTV cameras. Okay, so CCTV cameras which are recording every day people going in and out. Similarly, cameras in the ATM which records your body movements, car moving in a plane, plane movements in a 3D plane. Plane means flights. Okay, so all these are kinds of temporal data. So here you can see, for example, I want to find out the movement of a air vehicle, like a flight or a vehicle, which is in a 3D plane. So time, and then this is length, width, and height. There is X, Y. There are three planes: X, Y, and Z. Okay, so instead of two planes, it is because it's a flight. It is moving in 3D plane. If it's a car, it would have moved to in a 2D plane. But then in that case, apart from this, we have a variable called, when we have a variable called time, this becomes a temporal data. That is, I am tracking the movement of the of my flight every moment. Okay. Similarly, if you do a video tracking, a surveillance, like for example, you are going to sit for an examination. Many times I don't know, you have sat for that kind of examination where you log into the system and the system tells you, please on your camera, and you cannot, even if you move your head a little bit more, or you try to open something from your laptop, or try to see something on the mobile, your exam is stopped. Okay, so that is a video tracking. It is recording the movement of your eyes, it is recording the movement of your face every moment, and capturing it and analyzing that whether you have violated the terms of the examination or not. Then you have text data, like we have in Wikipedia, which we want to, if I want to work with the text data, there are many algorithms like natural language processing algorithms which work on text data. Then we have media, which includes audio, video. Like for example, from these images, I want to find out which image belongs to classify the models of the car, or I want to find out which image belongs to Honda. So in that case, I would be able to find out. So a kind of image recognition or something like that. Okay. Any doubts in this? Can you give me any other example of temporal data? I gave stock market and CCTV surveillance and cameras and all that. Any other example? And then air traffic control, flight tracking through ATC and all that. Any questions you have? Okay. Rainfall data. Rainfall. Okay. Rainfall data is according to time. Fine. It has to have a particular column called time. That is, it is to be time dependent. Yeah, rainfall is time dependent. Fine. So we have now we are coming to a term. I'm coming to a term called big data. So you might have heard it. That what is this big data? So big data and data science, they are like going side by side. So data science has come into picture because of big data. So big data means we have huge amounts of data which is there on the, like in all the platforms, and it consists of huge volume, huge variety, and velocity. Okay, so what we say is it contains greater variety, arriving in increasing volumes and with more velocity. More velocity means the rate at which the data is created, because you know that we are using Facebook, we are using Instagram, and we are creating data at very high rate. We cannot live with our mobile phone. Every minute we are posting, or we are posting comments, or we are tagging somebody, something or the other. Anything which you are doing using your mobile phone is being the data is being registered. So it is coming in the big data category. So 4 V's of big data. First is volume, which is the size of the data. See, size of the data has increased over time because now we can upload high resolution videos and photos on the web. Like in Facebook, we have seen that we can upload any amount of high resolution photos. That's why it is so popular. Even in Instagram, we can upload high resolution photos. And variety, different types of data. It can be textual data, it can be video, it can be audio. The variety is endless. Okay. Next is velocity, the amount of the speed at which the data is generated. And the next is veracity. Veracity means whether the data is giving me any value or not, whether the data is generating any value or not. That is the trustworthiness of the data. Okay, So big data, we have, kilobyte, megabyte. These are the we are not normally, we stop at gigabyte, but here we are going to terabyte, petabyte, exabyte, zettabyte, and so on. Okay, so Airbus is a kind of airplane which generates, it's for automation. It has a kind of black box which generates 10 TB of data every 30 minutes. It's like it tracks that, and it wants to, so that we can easily understand that whether a plane is hitting is coming nearby, and the flight can take actions automatically. Okay, because it has, every flight has an autopilot. So it generates 10 TB every 30 minutes, about 640 TB is generated in one flight. Velocity example, another is self-driving cars. So self-driving cars, generally what they do is, they drive and they collect data from the roads, that is where obstacle is there, or where the road is, traffic is there, and how you, and depending on that it gets trained, and it is able to take decisions. Now, how you learn driving, like humans, how they learn driving, they also go to the roads and navigate through the traffic, and they train themselves that how to drive and what decision to take and in what conditions. Similarly, self-driving cars are also doing the same, but here we are storing the data in our brain, which is not visible and not taking much storage space. But here we are storing the data in electronic devices, and it takes up a huge space. So what kind of storage space they need, require 2 petabyte of data every year. From now on, if the self-driving cars increase in numbers, the amount of data will double every 2 years. And by 2020, we will have 50 times the amount of data that we had in 2011. Next, we have variety. Okay, so variety of data means what are the different types of data which we can use. So you can see here, email, photo, audio, PDFs, other different kinds of variety of data which we are using right now. Veracity. Are the results meaningful for a given problem space? So just generating the data is not important. I need to know that whether that is adding any value to me or not. Okay, so whether that is giving me any value in my problem, or whether I can solve a problem using that data. So naturally, for self-driving cars and the flights, this is like what Airbus, we are trying to solve the problem of accidents, so that accidents will become less in unmanned vehicles. Okay, so what are the challenges of handling this kind of data? So they are difficult to process by the traditional system. We cannot easily send them from one device to another. It is difficult to edit those kind of data, and depends on the capability of the system. Areas of challenges are capturing, searching, storage, sharing, curation. Curation means different way to organize, transfer, analysis, and visualization. Okay, now I'm coming to classification of big data. So as of now, do you have any questions? Sales data. Okay, sales data, time bound. Yes, if it is okay, online sales and something, yes, it is time bound. Football position during a match. Okay, that is spatial or temporal? Both. Spatio-temporal maybe. Football position during a match is a kind of spatial data also, and yes, it has a time also. So it is both spatial and temporal. Yeah, good example. Medical records, in the sense medical records, maybe some medical records may be static data also. What kind of records you are talking about? Okay, medical records according to a patient's history, if you are talking about, it is Okay, it is date, it is not exactly time dependent. Okay, yes, if you are talking about a person who is going to a treatment continuously, like for example some kind of serious treatment, yes, like cancer, COVID and so on, yes, it is time dependent. Tumor size, very good. What we had talked about, we have talked about big data right now. Okay, so there are 4 V's which we talked about: volume, veracity, then we had variety and velocity. Okay,
Ma'am, I had a question.
tell me.
Mm, so you told us that 100 GB data is kind of a big data, but there are some, I mean, there are some powerful computers which can handle this 100 GB data
Of course,
easily.
now it will, this is also temporal information, it will change depending on the capacity of the machine. That's why it is written the capacity of the machine. I think it was written here. Depends on the capability of the system.
Okay,
It's
okay,
just an example. Depends on the
okay.
capability of the system. So naturally, yes, it is not. This is not a fixed thing or anything. It may change. Depends on the capacity of the system. Like for example, for cameras also, depends on the capacity of the camera. It will store the kind of the resolution of the image will be there. If your mobile if your mobile camera has of low resolution, it will not be able, or mobile storage is low, it won't be able to store. But if you have a powerful mobile camera and a storage capacity, then you can take a very high resolution photo. Any other question? Okay, velocity, we talked about the social media data, and the, we talked about self-driving cars. Any other place when you think data is generated very in high rate, data is being generated? Any other example? Google search, very good. Okay, great. Absolutely. Anything else? Online shopping sites. Okay. Google search, definitely. Yes. Fine. Okay, so we are coming to now. This is where we are when we have big data, like when we are using the data, like you as data scientists, we are using the data. So we have to classify the data in these different kinds of formats. So first is the structured data. Structured data is a data which we are getting in Excel format. Okay, or we are getting directly from SQL. So in the industry, Python, if you're using Python, is used with SQL, or R can be used with SQL to get the data, structured data, or R can be used with Excel. So here we are getting it in a structured format. Even we are getting it in a CSV format. CSV format is a semi-structured format, but that is also a kind of structured data where the data is divided into columns and rows. Okay, so it's easy for us to understand. It's a tabular format. So for example, you get a data in this, so your life is saved. Basically, you don't have to worry about at least making it into a structured format, because you get the data in a tabular format as it is. Now you can directly apply the data curation, like you can do the data wrangling, or you can do the exploration of the data, and try to do some kind of queries on the data. You can start with the task. So this is the structured data. Next we have unstructured data. Like we have, you get a PDF file. You get a PDF file where the data is there. Okay, suppose you have the lawyers data, which is, they have the data of cases in the PDF file, and they tell you to convert it into a structured format. Okay, so that data you get. So that is an unstructured data. You have to convert from the PDF format. Similarly, video data, music, audio data, X-ray data, okay, images, those kind of data. Newspaper, I have various newspapers, and need to convert that data, which is unstructured data, in the form of a not digital newspapers, just physical newspapers. So that even digital newspapers is a text data which is unstructured. It does not have particular columns. Now I tell you to go through the website, go through the latest news websites and tell me that how many accidents have been, how many bike accidents have happened in the last 1 year maybe in Mumbai. So you have to extract the data from the news websites, and you have to analyze, you have to put it in a structured format because the data is a text data. So, and find out that the date of the accident, whether the accident is a bike accident or not, and what is the outcome of the accident. Anyone has got injured, killed, or any kind of casualty which has happened, whether the person who has hit the bike, or it's a self-driven accident, okay, whether the person is caught or not, all these kind of things. Okay, so you can do an analysis, and if you can extract the data. Here the major challenge is data extraction. Similarly, from YouTube, suppose I tell you to you can download the audios of various music, and you want to classify that with which genre the music video belongs to, whether it is a rock, whether it is a pop, whether it is classical, and so on, and system will determine automatically. So that also is like handling an unstructured data. So here, human-generated unstructured data includes text files, word processing, spreadsheets, presentations, email, logs. Email has some internal structure. However, so it is semi-structured. Social media, data from Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, website, YouTube, Instagram. Mobile data, text messages, location, communications, like when you chat, phone recordings, media, which is MP3 digital photos, audio and video files, business application, Microsoft Office documents, productivity applications, and so on. Similarly, satellite imagery, that we have satellites which are capturing data about the weather condition, about atmospheric condition, global warming, and all that things. Military movements, so that kind of data. Scientific data, oil and gas exploration. Digital surveillance, like I told you, CCTV cameras, or even traffic surveillance. Sensor data, traffic, weather, oceanographic sensors, and so on. Unstructured data types, like you can data from PowerPoint files, then Access, MP4, GIF, Word, PDF, and all these things. Next, we have semi-structured data, the data which do not have a proper format attached. Okay, or data within an email is a semi. And another example of semi-structured data is your any kind of e-commerce website. Okay, let's go to an e-commerce website, like for example, Amazon. So this data is basically, now here, for example, I check mobile phones. You can see my screen, right? Can you all see my screen? Yeah. So, for example, this is the mobile phone. Now, I was telling you that we want to research about the mobile phone and find out that which mobile phone is most popular in the market, or which mobile phone has the best features, or which mobile phone is maybe is the cheapest but offer the most the number of features. So this kind of data. So now you can see the data is here. Okay, so this data, if I copy like this, like for example, if I copy like this, so this becomes a text data. Now if I copy like this, and I suppose I copy and put it in Notepad. This becomes unstructured data and text data. See, the data is there here. You have to extract it. It's all there. The name of the mobile phone, the amount of storage, okay, what is the cost of this mobile phone, everything is there. but you need a proper algorithm to extract it. You need to clean the data, remove the noise, and extract the data which is valuable for you. So this is a text data. This is a unstructured data. This is what? Unstructured data. Now what is semi-structured data? Now for example, here only we are coming to, we go to right click here and view page source. Okay, now this data which is here, it is a semi-structured data. Why? Because here all the data are being tagged with the proper tags. Like, let me see whether tags are. It will be there definitely. I'll show you. See here, price. So you have to little bit. It is time is taken required to search it. Search the tags. Where is my data? This one, no? 6999. Okay, here you can see this is 16999, right? Okay, so here you can see the class. This is off screen. So here in this tag, the span class equal to a off screen, the price is being stored. Now you search this class now. A off screen. Now you can see all the prices are being stored here. So like this, you can find all the fields. Okay, so once I know all the fields, what I do is I develop a web scraper which will extract the data from these fields. Have you understood? Are you understanding? So like this, we can, for example, this is for the price. Now consider I want to find for the name. Let me see in which tag the name is stored. You have to find, this is not the tag, okay? You have to find the proper tag. Okay, there, because it is linked, right? So it is the image is with the link, so that link is there. Okay, what is the tag here? Okay, this is the product image. You can see this is the tag where the image is stored. So every S product image, every product in this tag, every product image will be stored. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See the data. So once you get this, you can get the entire data from even all the pages. This is a single page. We can get thousands of data, like 10,000, 20,000, even 50,000 data from here. Is it clear? Are you understanding? And that data, it is called, which I showed it to you by view source, it's called a semi-structured data. That is not an unstructured data. Is it clear? Any question is there? Have you understood, or you could see? Is it clear? Okay. Great. Okay, so here this big data is have many applications like media and entertainment, banking and securities, insurance, transportation, education, energy, utilities, manufacturing, and so on. Now we are coming to the process of data, like data science life cycle. Okay, so what is the data science life cycle? So first, so why we use data science? To derive some knowledge, to get some kind of reports, or to get some, we want to explore some insights into the problem. Okay, so I have a problem and I want to dig deep into it. So I'm the solution of the problem. Okay, like for example, I have a hospital. Okay, I want to know, I have a hospital with a particular number of beds. I want to know what will be in the next 3 months, what will be the number of patients who are likely to come to my hospital. Okay, so I want to forecast that kind of a forecast the capacity, who are people who are likely to demand for beds, so I can increase my capacity. So that kind of prediction I require. Okay, so number one is business understanding. If a client comes with a problem to you, you have to first understand the business. That is, what if it is a hospital, what are the, okay, he has given some kind of columns and he has a data, and he tells me ki I want to know that in the next 3 months what will be the capacity of my like how many patients are likely to come for admission, to what is the capacity which I likely to keep. This is the for the past 2 years or 3 years record I have, month wise, and these have been the capacity. These have been the history of patients which are admitting in the next 3 months, or what is the chance, what is the capacity. So that kind of, so you need to understand if it is a during the pandemic time, you need to understand what kind of uh, variables you need to understand, and what is the domain. Okay, so you need to have an expertise, or you need to research about that business. Or for example, someone tells you he comes with a problem like, I want to open a new pizza shop in this locality. Okay, I want to know that my business, what is the success of, or probability of success of my business, whether my business has a chance, I am going to open a startup, and whether it has a chance of success or not. So that is business intelligence. You are giving an intelligent advice for the business owner. So that kind of understanding should be there. So next to the process is data mining. Okay, so data mining, what is data mining? Collect the data. So I need to know that in that locality, how many pizza shops are there? What are the, or how many food shops are there? What is the what kind of food the people in that locality order? So those data I need to collect that data. Which type of food the people like to order, whether there is an existing, that kind of system is already there or not. What is the extra thing I need to prove, and then we can predict that if my business has this variables, then what is the chance that it can be successful. Next is data cleaning. So data which I am gathering, naturally, if I am gathering from different restaurants, one person is giving me Excel file, another person is giving me text file, another person will give me a manual register. So I have data coming from different variety. Data is in different variety. Someone is giving me PDF file, so I need to gather that data, convert it into a structured format, clean the data. Okay, and fix inconsistencies within the data and handle the missing values. Next is, after I do the cleaning of the data, my data is in proper clean format. Then I will do data exploration, that I will check that which features are most likely I am supposed to use. Are they, what kind of data is there? Are they nominal data, ordinal data, qualitative, their characters, numbers, numeric data? If it is a numeric data, is it a ratio? We can do our arithmetic operations, or it's an interval kind of a data, discrete data or continuous data. So all kinds of things we will explore. Also, any kind of queries, if I have queries, in the sense I told you which kind of what kind of food the people are likely to order. Okay, whether it is vegetarian food or non-vegetarian food. which time they are likely to order. So all these kind of things. Next is feature engineering. Feature engineering means I have several features, means columns. Features here means columns. So I have, for example, 50 columns. So among these, which columns I'm supposed to use and which columns I'm supposed to discard. Next, we are going to do the predictive modeling. Predictive modeling, we have various kinds of modeling like regression, classification, and all these kind of modeling are there. Clustering, and we are going to apply those modeling and find out prediction. We can predict the future. And after that, we'll do a visualization to show the client. We'll show our results in the form of graphs. Okay, we can have a bar chart, we can have pie charts, we can have line charts, and so on. So, and we can present to the client. So this is the whole data science life cycle. If the client is happy with your accuracy, client is happy with your result, we are going to implement the model and test it with the test data. Test data means the data which result the client we don't have. Okay, for example, I have as I told you, I am a telephone surveyor. I'm a telephone service provider, and I need to know that in the next month which are the customers who are going to churn out. So I have a data, and I don't know the names of the customers who are going to churn out. And I have another data which is the previous data of the people. For 1 year, I know these are the customers who are there, and these are the customers who are still there with my company, and these are the customers who have churned out. So that data is used for training. And we have another set of data which is used for testing, that is to find out that which customer is going to churn out, yes or no. Any question you have? Did you understand this process? Any questions? Any questions you have? I'll continue. Everyone has joined, right? Sachin, have you joined? You have written in the WhatsApp, I didn't see. Okay. So how we are supposed to take the attendance also, right? Okay. So here, what is data mining? So basically, first, after business understanding, we are coming to data mining. So data is produced as a phenomenal rate, and user expect more sophisticated information. So what we are doing from the data, we are uncovering the hidden information. It consists of 3 stages: initial exploration, model building, pattern identification, and deployment. Okay. So first we start the initial exploration. This stage starts with the data preparation, involve cleaning the data transformation, and so on. So this is a little bit, if I go to so much technicality, it will be difficult for you to understand. We can do this later. Let's do this. Given some example. For example, okay, let's understand this. So we have 2 types of things. One is a database processing, which is like just like filtering your Excel. We are giving a query to your database, and here we are having a data mining processing. So database queries are well defined in the sense, I want to find out, for example, I write select the employee ID from employee where where designation equal to executive. So here I have the table name, which is employee. Employee name is a column. Okay, employee name or employee ID is a column. And designation has to be another column in which executive has to be there. The word executive has to be there. So it is very, very well defined. and output is also very, very precise. Here the query is natural language query. Okay, which employees are likely to ask for a salary raise this month? Okay, so poorly defined here. Which employees are likely to ask for salary raise? Now salary raise means which column you're supposed to find out there. With the help of database processing, you won't be able to find out this query. So the output is fuzzy. Its output is not precise. The output which is given is not 100% accurate also. It's a not subset of a database. It is not present in your database. That answer is not present in your database. So here in this query, if the answer is not present, it will give you through an error. But here it will give you the answer. But the answer is not 100% accurate. It is on the borderline. Now, for example, in the database, find all credit applications with the last name of Smith. So your table name is credit applicants, and there you have to have a column with the last name, and the name of the Smith should be there. Identify customers who have purchased more than $10,000 in the last month. So this is like purchase amount. Find all customers who have purchased milk. Okay, so customer names, purchase item is milk. In the data mining, find all credit applicants who are poor credit risk. Poor credit risk means that is they do not have much risk, that is that they won't be defaulters. Okay, so this is a problem of classification. Identify customers with similar buying habits. So people who have similar, like if I am likely to buy clothes more, then I need, or garments more in a month, so I need a person with a similar buying habit. So you need to classify people with similar buying habits. So this process is similar buying habits. It's not that which category I'm buying, that also we do not know. So it is clustering. Find all items which are frequently purchased with milk. So this is a kind of, this is also a kind of algorithm, and we have this algorithm name is association rules. As I told you, it's fairly there in the malls, where how the items are being categorized and displayed in the cupboards. Why data science? Okay, so we have targeted marketing, like you have outbound calls from the sales. Okay, from you get a call from if you are doing very well, you are paying your bills on time, and you are buying things also, and you have a proper bank balance, you will get a call from the a representative saying we are going to give you a credit card, or we are going to give you a loan. Okay, previously this was not the case. Before data science, we used to, if I want to apply for a credit card, I only have to go and apply. I won't get a call directly from the executive. But now this has come because they can predict that which person is a good customer and will not likely to default. Then fraud detection. Okay, from the transaction, the system is able to detect that a fraud is going to happen. A person who is this person is going to default for a credit card, or not going to pay, or going to close the credit card, and so on, so that an appropriate action can be taken. Customer relationship management. You have a series of you have a shop in a mall, and you want to give your customers some kind of benefits and offers, but different customers have different categories. Some customers are high spenders, some are very frequently shopping but not very high spenders. Some customers are poor spenders. So different customers you have to handle in a different way. So you need to segment the customers and give them offers. So customer relationship management. So that can be done. Next is, yes, loan approval. Loan approval. If you want to apply for a loan, now no one has to go. The executives do not have to go and visit the banks and get their information and find out that the loan application does not require so much time because it's quite automated. Your credit history can be fetched online, and we can generate a credit score. Targeted marketing, okay, we have already done this. Okay, manufacturing and production. Automatically adjust knobs when process parameter changes. So if the system automatically, like I need for a particular process, I need 3 knobs. Instead of that, if one knob, the system automatically understands that what is the size of the knob depending on the parameter, and it adjusts it. So with one knob only, my work is done. In the medicine field, analyze the patient disease history, find relationship between the disease, identify new drugs. Okay, identifying new galaxies. Yes, we can identify new bodies on the space. Website design and promotion. Now depending on the website design, the number of hits depend. Okay, like where you are, for example, you want to create a new account, you want more people to create more online account or use internet banking. So the place where your button is located has a huge strategic advantage. So that can be done through machine learning. So machine learning overlaps with statistics, artificial intelligences, databases, and visualization and other fields. What are the different kinds of tasks which we have? Okay, now tell me, as of now, do you have any doubts? Yes, you have understood what we studied now? Data mining. Yeah. Okay. Should we see some data here? Okay, for example, and so this is R. So next day we are going to install R. Okay. Now, for example, I read this data set. Can you see my screen? Everyone can see my screen, right? Yeah, our screen. Okay, now see, let's see this data. Let's analyze some data. For example, this. We have 4 columns: outlook, temperature, humidity, windy, and play. This is a data set which tells me that according to the weather, whether a person who is a golf player can play the game or not. Okay. Now same thing can happen for a cricket game also, for any kind of tennis game also, any kind of game. Now outlook, here there are 3 kinds of weather. One is cloudy, rainy, and sunny. And here we have hot, cool, and mild. And humidity is high and normal. Tell me which one is nominal, which one is ordinal. Ratio, though it's not there only, there is no numerical value here. You tell me which one is nominal and which one is ordinal. They're all categorical variables, naturally. There are no quantities. Ordinal value variables can be converted to numbers also. Which column is nominal, which column is ordinal? Write in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and say. This is the first column, which is outlook. Ignore this I. Are you understanding? Yeah. Temperature is ordinal. Okay. Temperature is nominal. Why, Apurv? Don't you think this can be hot, cool, and mild? It designates hot is more temperature, then mild, and then cool. You cannot give a greater than sign. We cannot write that. Can we write hot? The temperature in hot is greater than mild, is greater than cool. Can't we write that? So temperature is ordinal, yes. What about humidity? Okay, yes. Dichotomous means nominal, okay. Outlook is nominal, very good. What about humidity? Hmm, fine, fine. Humidity is also ordinal, good. Okay, let's check another data. Okay, I'm doing a view here. This is related to a breast cancer. Okay, view data. You see. Okay, so this is the I don't know you can see or not. Let me see this. Yeah. So you can see these are the dimensions of a tumor. Okay, so you can see here we have ID, then we have diagnosis. Okay, so whether this tumor is malignant or benign, that is whether it is malignant or non-malignant, is cancerous or not. Okay, and here we have the variables like texture mean, radius mean, that is mean radius of the tumor, then texture of the tumor, perimeter of the tumor. Tell me which one is categorical and all are quantitative. Do you think any kind of interval values are there here? All are ratio, I think. No negative value is there. So these all are ratios. Okay. So they are normal numeric values, and only the diagnosis is what kind of this categorical variable. Categorical variable means nominal, qualitative and nominal. Is it clear? Okay. Yes. Fine. Okay. Next, we are talking of we are seeing another data set. Let's see this. Okay, let's see here. But here the output does not come, means the whole thing you cannot see together. But let's use this and view 20 records. Okay. So here, what is this? This is a car data, the data of a car. And here you can see car ID is there, symboling, which is 10123. Name of the car, fuel type, which is fuel type is gas, petrol, diesel, aspiration, door number 24, door number is 2 and 4, and car body, convertible hatchback. And this is the engine type, drive wheel, engine location, wheelbase. Tell me any nominal variable, ordinal variable, and ratio. Any ordinal variable is there? Cylinder number 465, number of cylinders. Okay. Yes. So what about the, do you see any ordinal variable here? No. Okay. What about the others? Do you see any ordinal? What about this door number 2 and 4? Definitely 4 is more than 2, right? Number of doors. And what about this number of cylinders? 4, 6, 3, 3, 4, 6, and all that. 3, 4, 5, 6. So this also can be ranked, right? Though I don't know whether it is in metric. Yes, right. Horsepower. Okay. This also loops, maybe. It is, if it is, I have to check. Give me a moment. Is this a continuous variable or discrete? That is, it consists of same values repetition. Then we'll find out. Yeah, then it is ordinal. Let me check. Don't pay attention to the commands now. We are going to learn it, so don't panic. Most of them are one. Okay. It has a pattern, yes. Yes, yes. It is ordinal. Because these are not continuous values, these are discrete values. After 48, we have 52, then 55, 56. You can see they are not continuous variables. They're discrete variable. It is ordinal. Okay, so you understood a little bit of the data, right? Is it discrete? Yeah, it is discrete. Yes, it is discrete because it is not a continuous. You see, after 48, you don't have it. What is the continuous? Like you can have 48, you can have 48.5 also, you can have 49 also, you can have 50 also. But here it is. You can see we do not have all the values. These values are same values are repeated. That means they cars have specific horsepowers only. We do not have all the different types of horsepowers. Yes, discrete, numeric. Discrete, and it will be ordinal also because the horsepowers are naturally they can be ranked. Because definitely a car which has a horsepower of 288 is more than a car whichever has better performance than a car which has a horsepower of 48. Okay. Okay, so let's see the data mining tasks which we have. So we have different kind of tasks. We have classification, like we want to find out that from the face from the face of a image of a person, that whether the person is whether that person is a criminal or not. Classification. Okay, such kind of research is still not in place, but then I'm telling you, just giving you an example. Regression. I want to predict the. I have a list of prices and the property details of different housing, that whether the school is near to that property or not, how many rooms are there, in which floor that property is there, whether a garden, it is garden facing or slum facing, all these things I have. And I want to predict the property price. Regression. Next is time series. If you want to forecast some kind of details. Time series analysis, like I told you that we were talking about forecasting, right? Like I want to find out that my hospital, what is the capacity of my hospital, demand which is coming to my hospital in the next 3 months. So that is forecasting, that is time series analysis. Next, in the descriptive, we have all these are forms of prediction only. We have clustering. Clustering in the sense customer segmentation. Now I want to segment in my customers into different groups, but I don't know which feature I want to segment. So I want the system to find out which customers are similar and give me a segment. So system will only segment the customers into, the customers are maybe high spenders, or the customers are young customers, old customers, like that. System will only give me a segmentation and will divide it into groups. That is called clustering. Summarization. Now when you search something on the web, you can see every website has a summary in the Google search. So that summary is generated automatically. That is called summarization. Association rules. When you go to the shopping market, you want to find the most frequent, you want to find that if you are bought items like bread and butter, what is the other item which you are likely to buy. Okay, so that is association rules, which is generally used for recommendation. Association rule is the most common algorithm which is used for recommendation. Next is sequence discovery. Now it is, you may have known about completing a DNA sequence. Like for example, in the early years, when suppose in a particular crime location, a very small drop of blood is found, and that drop of blood shows me an incomplete DNA sequence. Then they would not be able to match it with the people in their records. But now it can be done with the help of that sequence, can be completed by the system, and then it can be matched with the people, with the records. Okay. I think we are done today. So we are going to continue tomorrow. Let me take your, yes, right. Okay, have you understood? Are you understanding till now? Any doubts you have, you can clear. I'll take your attendance, I think so. Yeah. Data science. There is a data science book. You have some books which are referred in there is an O'Reilly data science book. You can refer to that. There is a data mining book. I'll just get the name. I think I don't remember the name. So I'll find out the name. And apart from that, from online sources, I will say Analytics Vidya website is good. Yes, yes, yes. Sure. After I complete the PPT, I still have materials. I will give you the PPT, no problems. And whatever we'll do in the class, that will also be shared. But that's what I told you. Next time, and log in from the laptop, then you can do the activities with me only. Yes, I will share my PPT, but right now I still have little bit left. So let me complete that and I'll share you tomorrow. Is it fine? According to your syllabus, it is R. I have no problems in providing in Python as well, but according to your syllabus, it is R. I will confirm this. Any other question? Okay, give me your names. Let me write today's name. What is today's date? 23. Okay. So Aboli, are you present? Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Present.
Okay. Next. Afroz,
Yes, ma'am.
Apurv,
Yes, ma'am.
Archana,
Yes, ma'am.
Dipali,
Present, ma'am.
Harshad,
Present, ma'am.
Meh,
Present, ma'am.
Meenakshi,
Present, ma'am.
Navina,
Yes, ma'am.
Nihal,
Present, miss.
PS,
There.
Renuka,
Yes, ma'am. Present.
Sachin,
Present.
Shreyash.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Shrushti, I will consider Sachin. Sachin or Shrushti? Sachin, no?
I joined as a 50 so now. My daughter.
Okay. Srinath,
Yes, ma'am.
Suman,
Yes, ma'am.
Tejal. That's it, right? Okay. Thank you, students. Wish you a pleasant evening. Good night. Okay, fine.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Yes, sure, sure. I'll ask if Python is there. I can provide in Python also, no problem. Thank you. Thank you all.